I'm Theron, Ramacharaka. Okay, this is a brief video about the mentative poles. A couple videos ago, um, maybe number 251, 252, something like that. This one being 254. I attempted to clarify something about the mentative poles, saying that I was addressing the idea that they are not opposing poles, and I tried to clarify that to get on the same page with with anybody who would say no. I don't think that they are opposing poles. I tried to clarify and point out how we can say that they are the two mentative poles without the idea that no, they're not opposites. The two mentative poles being will and desire, just so that we can get our terminology together, because it's the meaning of the terms that we want to get at. So I've created a thumbnail here for this video that should help this clarification. All right, the thumbnail shows a bar magnet. The central feature on the thumbnail is a bar magnet. And instead of north and south poles of the magnet, I have labeled them positive and negative. Now, this is just a matter of basic fundamental polarity. So over there on the negative side, on the right-hand side of the thumbnail of the bar magnet, I have the negative sign and the label desire. This does not mean that desire is a negative thing, as in an undesirable thing. This is just a matter of polarity. All right? Something that would manifest, as far as a magnet goes, into the south pole of the magnet. Okay. It could be feminine, if we want to go up a level of discourse here, to the universal principle of gender that manifests, from the principle of polarity itself, which is the principle the principle side of the law of opposites. Okay, and will being the positive side. Now, this is just a matter of labeling poles, plus and minus. Now, we generally, never mind about the generally thing. All right, so what we're talking about is the movement of the magnet itself. And I've used the magnet because when we're talking about polarity, fundamentally, in the cosmos, this probably boils down to, when it comes to prana or vril, the animating factor in conscious substance in motion, boils down to, fundamental electricity, which works in accordance with its poles. Right? So at the mental plane level, we have it manifesting as desire and will. Okay. But now, it's in this magnet analogy, which relates to electricity, okay, or electromagnetism. We can call it the electromagnetic spectrum. But at the mental plane, we're labeling the bar magnet, desire, and will, the two mentative poles, as the law of opposites manifests at the mental plane, or the plane of mentation, mental activity, in association with the movement of vril, or the animating factor that moves things. Okay, so what we're talking about here, if we're going to stick with the magnet picture depicting the mentative poles, we're talking about the movement of the magnet itself. All right, so I think that this agreement initially had come from the idea that, desire attracts, or the negative pole attracts but the positive pole repels. So how could that work together? That's, yeah. When we think of a magnet itself, yeah, we have one side drawing, metal particles to it, and the other side pushing them away, hopefully over to the other side. But what we're talking about here is mentation and desire and will. We're talking about, let's say this is the mental sphere here, this bar magnet. We're talking about the movement of the magnet itself. So I put here, to help along with this, this desire side, the negative side, which draws toward or draws in, pulling the mental magnet, okay, and some object of desire together, right? But I'll go over here to the other side. We're not talking about pushing that object of desire away. We're talking about pushing the magnet toward that object. The desire side draws them together. The will side pushes them together. You see how this operates here? I have the movement lines surrounding the bar magnet. The whole magnet is moving in one direction. And that movement is created by twofold action. On the right side, the desire side, the negative pole side, you see the front end of a jet engine. That's the intake. In, drawing in. On the other end, you see the rear of a jet engine. Pushing the magnet, the thrust, the output, all right? Pushing. It's pushing the magnet in the same direction as the intake is drawing the magnet. This is a good depiction, I think, of what we mean by the two mentative poles, opposite ends of the same thing. The pole thing comes in how they operate toward the same goal. One draws, one pushes or drives. Okay, now combine this picture now, this whole picture here, and everything I just said with what's in the former videos here about how they work together. All right? I mean, over here on the right side, the intake, we can picture a vagina. And on the other end, where the output is, the driving in, the driving toward a penis, whatever you want to consider it. Flow of electricity. Whatever. That's what we mean by the mentative poles. You see it right here in this diagram that I put on the thumbnail. That's why I made that thumbnail. It took me quite a while to put that together. So please study it, get the feel for it. Okay? Now, that intake side, the right hand side, the desire side, gives the thrust in the back, the will side, something to push for. And the object of desire. The object is doing the pointing. Okay? The pointing. This way, this way, this way. We're drawing this direction here, guys. Hey, Will, we're drawing over here. We want to draw ourselves over here. So help, give us a push. And Will back here, is doing the push, but sometimes desire over here wants to go off in some other direction, if not controlled, or so sometimes Will has to adjust the direction and say, hey, desire, no, we don't want to go that way. We're pushing this way. All right, like, get a hold of yourself over there. And sometimes Will may get out of control, and push too hard somewhere, and desire has to say, hey, no, we're we have to stay focused here on the right direction. I'm messing this up. I'm sorry. They both manage each other when they're working harmoniously. Will, the push of Will, can get a handle on desire. Help desire get a handle on itself, and desire gives Will something to push for. This is how they work together. But ultimately, the real purpose here, this is like a functional diagram I've made. It's practical. It's pragmatic. This is pragmatism. Somebody mentioned lately in a comment, pragmatism. Well, I try to give you everything on this channel from a pragmatic point of view, something that can be used. This depiction is usable. A correct understanding of the mentative poles and how they work, what their functions are, in cooperation with one another, when they're cooperating, is pragmatic. And here is a functional diagram of that. The best I could come up with here at the moment. I hope this helps. All right. You can use this, if you want to consciously employ the action of desire and will together, while remembering the other things that I've pointed out here to remember, to keep in mind, about vril and the universal source, of will, desire, and vril. And they all, and how the three are working together. It's the vril, it's the movement of the vril that actually causes the action, that movement. But without desire and will working together there, then vril has nothing to do. And you don't get the action without the vril. It's all three working together. All right? But when it comes to the mentative poles, half of the picture, the other half being vril, here's a good depiction that should help out. It's functional, it's pragmatic, and it's what we're talking about when we refer to the mentative poles. They are poles of the same thing. They are not separate things, they just work in opposite ways, but in the same direction. One would hope, when they're working together, when one's not overpowering the other. If one gets out of hand, the other one has to redirect. And largely it's will that's redirecting. Well, I don't know. I'm messing this up again. I hope you get the picture here. I'm not getting the right words in this video to talk about how each, keeps the other in line. Maybe I'll try one last time here. You know, the desire side gives will something to push toward. You know, it goes toward the dominant desire, to use William Walker Atkinson's words, toward the dominant desire, right? But if that dominant desire is not in one's own best interest, then will has to slow it down. And get control of the desire toward the more favorable thing. Without that control of will, that outgoing, like, here, look, man, I'm reaching out. Desire, hey, wait, whoa. We got to go there. And then when that becomes the dominant desire, then will can push in that direction. But without desire, there's nowhere to push toward. There's a better description of how they operate together. And when they are operating together, then you have the one pulling the desire and the other pushing toward, but they're going toward the same thing. Therefore, that's why I've shown the magnet as well as created the jet analogy here all together in one diagram, because the jet and the magnet in this depiction here are moving with the poles. They're part of the same thing. That thing is moving in one direction. By way of, on one end, the drawing toward or drawing inward, moving the magnet or the jet that way, and the other pushing in that same direction. The other end will. I don't know how to say it any better at the moment. I'm grasping for words here. I guess I've said enough. If I say any more, I'll just get things more confused. But the picture sells it. It's a visual. You can use that in your visualization. That was the point I started to make about 2 minutes ago. You can use this, okay, in your visualization of how this works. This will help you make this work stronger for you. Okay? That's it. Theron Shamatharaka. Be well.